Welcome to Own It, the podcast where we talk to real estate thought leaders about embracing your strengths, taking your career to new heights, and owning your future. I'm Hillary Saunders, co-founder, chief broker officer at Side, joined again with my lovely co-host, Katie Kosev. Hello, how are you, my friend?
I am fantastic. Thank you for inviting me in the guest host spot. I'm happy to be here.
I love it. And as we celebrate Women's History Month, we have an amazing, another female leader, Herr. Welcome to Own It, the founder of Private Real Estate Collection. I almost said collective. That would have been bad. Yeah. Collection in Ohio and Kentucky. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. That's really fun.
This is awesome. And I almost said with dreams of, I've heard, little birdie told me that you have dreams of expanding to Florida. Is that true?
That is. I'm actually sitting in my house in Florida right now doing this podcast. I'm super excited. So I was feeling a little beachy and coastal with my colors, but we are definitely expanding here soon. So
this is going to be great. Well, I want to dive right in because I have been a fan, a little girl crush fan of you and your ability to market and really just put out there some amazing, I want to say almost like it's non-real estate feely. It's almost like lifestyle feel that has this amazing following of your career and your real estate. How did you get into such a unique brand of marketing?
Thank you so much. One of my passions is marketing, and my big joke in my household is that I could have my own marketing company, which I tell my team that we do. I like to believe that Private and Team Herr, which is my main team under Private Real Estate Collection, is a marketing company, which is one of the benefits I think that we have as a company in Cincinnati, Ohio, and Kentucky, where we sell a lot right now. But I do have a full team that works really hard behind the scenes to help me prepare that process of documentation so that it continues to keep our followers interested and not just put out boring content that, a lot of agents across the world do. And that's not by any meaning other than they just don't know what else to put out there. So I like to share stories, and just lifestyle, which is really fun.
And another thing that you and I have in common is our little swimming background. And I know your girls are swimmers as well. So big shout out to them and congratulations to their successes. I know they will go very far. So Heather, your illustrious career spans many facets of things: marketing, teaching, art, real estate. How did you end up here in real estate? Because you've traveled quite a journey to get to this point.
Thank you. Yeah, I've done a lot of things. It's always funny because whenever I talk to somebody, they'll say like, when are you going to be done or retire? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to retire from this. I love it. So I started as an art educator. I have a master's in art education, and I taught high school for a while. I also coached. I have a funny story about that, but that's a whole nother topic. And then I ended up getting into software consulting, and I traveled all around the world teaching software and learned CRM. So one of the things I loved a lot about Side is that they had a really strong tech presence, and I love technology. Also, my family jokes that I think that I'm like a tech nerd, but I love it. It's one of my passions. And I will say that it was partly because of working for that company, and then I ended up getting into real estate when we had children, and my husband encouraged me, maybe you should be getting into real estate. You have a background in art and art history and architecture, and you're really good at it. So I just started as a neighborhood agent, and that's really how I got started on selling a lot of homes. The homes in the area that I started in are historic, so I was very passionate about the architecture there. So that's kind of how that started. And it's funny how it goes full circle back, but I use all of those past careers in my business now.
You can definitely tell because your marketing presence online and social, for example, I know that I think your Instagram has like 45,000 or some crazy number of followers, which is impressive. And I will speak to the audience who listens to us. One of the favorite buzz topics is social and how do they get more people to follow them? How did you break into that? And how have you continued to make content for people that are like just juicing for the next thing?
That's a great question. It's so funny you say that because my marketing team is here and they're just, sitting up by the pool or whatever. And I'm like, where's the content? Where's the content? We need 100 pieces of content daily. So I basically have a content library that we put together, and I look at it like a full-time marketing agency. So they are working around the clock constantly, not documenting like just pretty pictures, because that's the easy part, but more like what's the process behind it? Like, what does it look like to put a house on the market? What does it look like when I'm actually blowing leaves off the front porch, which is funny? and you can relate to more people that way. So it really draws that reaction to the audience that you're speaking to, and not just saying, look at me, I sold a house, because really nobody cares other than the person that you're working with who's selling the house. So we try to pepper in both. And I think that's how we really increased our following, is getting people to engage with our content more and just ask questions about what we're doing.
Heather, I have a question, because so many people, like real estate agents, know what they need to do to get out there, to get viral, to get people to see them online. But I think they have a really hard time doing it because it's scary, and you have imposter syndrome and lots of different things. Like, I sound stupid, I'm just not good enough. How did you get over that hump, or did you even have a hump? Because some people don't, but how did you push yourself to do it?
That's a great question, because I actually I've had multiple interns that have worked for me in the past, and they're very nervous about like, oh, let's do this or let's do that. And I always say, listen, there's no mistakes. You just got to put something out there, because even if one person likes it, that one person could really open a lot of doors for you. So rather than overthink it, really just put the content out. Now, with that being said, we are very heavy on branding, which is, I really do believe that's a lot of our success. So things look branded and they're very consistent, but at the same time, you can still have some fun with it. So just having that brand in place, and then really kind of peppering in some fun things. And if it doesn't work out, you don't have to do it again, but there's really no harm in it. I think just going out there and just trying, which is good.
That's something what Katie Lance said also in a previous episode, was just put the content out there. Like, you'll get better. Something is better than nothing. So as long as you don't have, dead bodies hanging behind you or something, really freaky that we've seen on Zillow's Gone Wild, I think you should be good.
I try to be very respectful of other agents as well too. So I've had agents take pictures in my houses and post them, but I have no problem with that as long as they ask for permission, and then I really support them by doing that. So I feel like as long as we have a good relationship with other agents, no matter where they work, that has been really good too. So a lot of times we'll collaborate with other agents, and that increases our followings. And the other thing is, I have a lot of Instagram pages, maybe 5 or so. I try to collaborate with those pages. So there may be a personal page and a lifestyle page for a neighborhood, and I try to collaborate with those as well. So that really increases following too.
Oh, that's interesting. You just touched on something that's fascinating, is creating a neighborhood Instagram page or a neighborhood community feel. And you're the second person this week who's mentioned that to me as something that they're trying to build out. How did you figure out that that was something that the audience wanted to learn?
I think I used a little bit of the house that I'm in now in the neighborhood that we've just, bought this home in. We renovated the home. I took a video when I got to the home for the first time and put it out on TikTok. It went viral, and people were so intrigued about learning more about the area. They asked a lot of questions. So from there, I thought, well, you know what? I'm just going to create a page, and I'm not going to worry too much about it being perfect, but just put information out there about what's happening in the neighborhood, what's happening over the weekend, what restaurants are great, who has specials. It's not even about real estate at that point. And so because I grew my business in my first neighborhood 20 years ago, I feel like the best way to do it now, especially, is going back to being a neighborhood agent, an expert of what that is going on in your community all the time, and supporting the businesses there too. So I just started one recently. It's very small. I've done very little with it, but even just quickly, I've had restaurants already kind of reposting things that I put out there. So yeah, it's been great.
Heather, how do you manage, because you're in so many different markets and you do such a good job in each one, and I feel like your brand is really a representative of those places and that you love so much. How do you do that? How do you go between, Kentucky and Ohio and still have such a, just a resonating brand in each of those areas?
I don't sleep ever. No, I'm kidding.
We got to the bottom of it.
But I will say that I don't sleep a ton, but I love literally researching social marketing, and I like learning. And every time I go to bed at night, instead of watching TV, I like reading about what other people are doing, and I just take ideas from them. I mean, going back to the art world, I used to tell my students that art is really not created in a vacuum. You can always take ideas from something else that you have learned and implement that. So for me, it's constantly, every single day, like coming up with a different way to promote the brands that we're working with, or the companies, or whatever it is. And then also I do have a team that helps. I have interns and a marketing department, which is helpful. So we try to have like a large content calendar that's really scheduled out, because it creeps up on you and you get busy, but you can always pepper in things at the last minute.
That's smart. I think that scheduling it out and spending time to actually plan out what you're going to do is key. And I think a lot of people who are just starting in the business get overwhelmed with, oh my gosh, there's so much I need to do. And they get distracted. But just going back to the basics of, okay, just put it in your calendar, sit down, do it. You should have content.
And there's a lot of apps out there, programs that you can use to schedule things to put out there. So we have something, for example, we do a post every Thursday, which is things going on in the state of Kentucky or the state of Ohio. And so we try to pepper in like 4 or 5 different ideas. We tag the companies that we're working with. We collaborate with a local business in town, and we put that one out every Thursday. I thought it was really boring, but we've had so many people say, we love it, we follow it. So we continue to do that. So that's easy. Placeholder happens every Thursday. It looks the same, and it's consistently getting larger the following there. So it's been easy.
I'm just obsessed with the fact that you've grown. So, I mean, as of right now, we're like almost up to, past 45,000 followers on Instagram. And, you push forward to TikTok too. And I feel like I'm 43 and I'm like, I can't do it. Like, I can't do TikTok. Enough is enough. And I sound like an old woman. And it's just not okay, because I see other people like pushing themselves to try new platforms that work. And you have had so much success with it. So I find that quite interesting. And I also think that you do such a good job of hosting these events for your sphere and your past clients and just your friends. And you do a good job of marketing it prior on social. So talk to me about your strategy there and like how that came about and your micro events and what that looks like.
Yeah, we do about 30 events a year. And I think it started because my husband and I own a social club called Field Collective. And we have an office there, and it's just a great place to have events. But that kind of made me think maybe I should start having happy hours or just parties. But really, it went a lot further. And I did speak about this at the recent convention. We also do micro events, which I encourage my agents to really figure out a way to get like 20 people that they're working with to come together and to just do something that they enjoy. Like, it could be a gardening topic. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be wine. It could be about a book, because as you know, when you sell a lot of homes, you cannot constantly always be with your people all the time. But most agents that are selling, 30 or 40 homes a year or 200 like we have, they don't have enough time in the day to do the things that they need to do. So having these events gives them and their clients something to look forward to. And not always is it just always us hosting. We also collaborate with people. We do a lot of community events where we also can like charge maybe a little bit of money, but we give all the money back to the neighborhood association. That's one of my favorites. And those have been very powerful and impactful as well.
That's an amazing thing to talk about, is how to stand out. How does your company stand out in Ohio to differentiate itself from, say, the mom and pop shops that have been there for generations and just kind of do the same thing and do the same colors all the time. And you've been able to successfully build and grow the private real estate collection in addition to your own team, right? You operate Team Herr within that company.
Correct.
So how did you get to be able to where you are now, which is agents are drawn to you. Like, they want to be a part of it. They're dying to be a part of what you've built. Congratulations, first of all. And then how did you come to this point? Because it's very impressive.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I think when I think about like where I started, I was with a mom and pop shop when I first started. Then I went to Coldwell Banker, who I love them, and Cincinnati, they were great to me. But I always wanted my own branding and really to represent who I was, which is what I love so much about Side. And you guys have been so supportive for that. And there's no other company like that. And so just recently, the other day, an agent who was the most powerful agent in Ohio said something to me like, I'm really impressed with what you've done. I mean, I literally almost started crying, because it's not easy. It's not easy. You got to learn how to do it all. And when I first started and I started this company, I did everybody's job so that I could understand exactly what they were doing. So I wanted to make sure that I was able to lead them better. And then by doing that, it gives me more time to put myself out there socially on all the platforms so that it looks like that we're actually enjoying ourselves, because we are. It's a process. So we've put together like a playbook, I call it, on exactly how to navigate all the platforms that we do, social media, marketing, events, and also running a business, which is what we do and how we make money to have those events. But it does happen overnight. I mean, I will say that when I was with these brokerages that I worked with, I was always wanting more. And I could never go to the marketing department there because they never could level up to where I wanted to be. I'm a little bit of a crazy person when it comes to that, but I always wanted to push it. So that was really important to me. And then Side allowed me to do that. And you guys had the tools for that, which has been really amazing.
We have kids that are, kind of in the same age bracket, and it's hard when you have like older kids. They don't really want to be too, the pictures have to be approved before they're posted. I have a teenage daughter. If I post a picture that's not cute, I get in trouble. But you've done such a good job of really, it seems like a family affair. Like you really, you have your different separate pages on social media and your branding and your marketing. But talk to me about like work-life balance and how you're able to, is there a strategy there? Or is it just like you're sharing your life because that's your life and it draws people in?
That is a great topic. My kids, they probably are so annoyed by me. Let's be really honest. These young kids too, they think they know everything about social media, but really in reality, they are afraid to put stuff out, and they should be because they're young. And so, they want the pretty pictures, and Instagram is a great thing for that, but it's not really a way when you're running a business to get business if you're just doing pretty pictures. So we have this agreement in our household that I can only post approved pictures of the children, but sometimes I just don't listen and just do whatever. But I try to keep it respectful for them, and then we have a lot of fun doing that. But I do think it's important though to pepper in your personal life because I'm a mother, and it's not always perfect. Like I was at a swim meet all weekend long, in the same outfit like every day, but that's just who I am. And it also I think people resonate with that more, and it brings in more business for the company as well. So it is hard to balance though. There's no doubt. Like just me being here and the kids are at home, we have to get sitters and stuff is always a struggle, but it's also good to bond with my company here and have that culture. So
I think what the underlying theme is, be your authentic self and don't be afraid to share it. Like this is mom mode and I'm doing work at whatever, but this is me, right? Like I'm showing up. This is how I get your house sold.
Yeah, I mean, I think about too, like if I was always pulling up in like a beautiful car or something to a fancy house, like, we live in Ohio and the average sale price there is $300,000, not $1 million or $2 million. And quite frankly, some of our favorite clients are buying a $50,000 condo and renovating it. So it really comes down to like the lifestyle, which is we serve everyone. We like that. And that you're right. I am a mom, and sometimes I might show up in a pair of sweatpants, but I'm always going to do a great job. And I will say having a team is critical. So that's obviously the future of our industry. If you're not on a team, and you can't really live your life the way it should be, and you can't operate a sale without help on the back end and be a mother and be all the other things you want to be too, and a business leader and have events, all that kind of stuff.
All the things. But what I'm getting from this, and I love takeaways, Katie and I's favorite thing, is that you love technology, you said so, and you use a lot of, or create a lot of playbooks. And so you're actually doing a lot of the legwork up front. So that way, whoever comes onto your team can be uber successful, right? You don't need to reinvent the wheel. So what are some of your favorite either technologies to use in real estate or guidance on, for sure, create this so that way you can save time down the road?
All the agents on my team have, when they have come on, have 5x their production. So when they started, they were doing under 3 million, which in Ohio, again, is more than some people. But then by the time a year would go by, or 24 months, I have 5 times their production. And part of that is branding. And so I help them brand themselves, like what is it that you are trying to, be, or who are you? Who is your audience? What is it that you want to do? Really digging deep, because I do have some new agents on my team, and a lot of times they're all over the place because they have to be when you're new, but really digging into who are you? Where do you connect? What events can we have so you can bring in some people so you can create a community immediately? That's part of it. And then with that technology, my marketing team will meet with them to try to help them really specialize that brand around them. So the team page is really team page, but each agent should have their own individual identity as well. That's part of it. We use all the software at Side and we love it, but we also have other software that we use as well that we find is very helpful for our team, especially through process management, and transaction coordination.
The agents that you said you're bringing on, I hate to interrupt, but I will forget. You bring on such a powerhouse of agents, and they're attracted to you from your branding, from your marketing. What do you look for in an agent that you know is going to be a good fit, that's going to really embrace your message of branding and marketing?
That's a great question. I have not always made the best decisions on that, but you learn, because I was an individual agent for 15 years. So in the last 5 years, I've brought in all my teammates, and we were a larger team, then we got smaller. My personal theory is that smaller is better for my culture, at least. And I try to find people that work hard, because it doesn't even matter how much they're selling at one point. It's I want to be here. I love being part of something. I want to help other people in my group, because we help each other. And that is the winning, for me, success for our culture, because we are like a family. And I really take pride in that. So for me, it's that. It's the great attitude. It's the, I want to work hard. I mean, so many deals fall apart, as we know. So having them know that they're going to get back up and do better if they can't sell or close a house is the winning factor for us, at least. It's all about that good, positive energy in the office, which has been great.
How do you encourage people? Like 2023 was not as robust, let's call it, as 2022, but that's fine if you've been in the industry as long as the three of us have. You've seen these cycles go and come back. So for us, it's no big deal, right? It's just secular. But the newer agents kind of had a freak out last year. So how did you navigate and coach them? Because coaching is big in your background. How did you coach them through it?
I do a lot of business development with the agents. So I do onboarding that we have at Side, but I also do weekly meetings with individual agents, weekly meetings with their team. We do a lot of quarterly strategic planning, not just for how much we're going to sell, but also their branding, like we had talked about, and just keeping them positive, because there is kind of this hype, like, oh my gosh, the recession, or there's rates are high. I mean, every time I go somewhere, someone says, oh, the rates went up. And I'm like, what? Like, to me, it's not about that. We are a company that is selling a lifestyle to our people, and everybody needs to buy and sell a house. So let's focus on how we can help those people. So I try to keep my agents really into that, even the new ones, and keep them pep talks and pumped up, and just additional training to get there. We do a lot of role playing, I guess you could say, too, where I bring in my agents that are doing very well, and to help the younger or newer agents. And it's been really, really nice. It's like a partnership within the office.
How does it work with and again, I think it's like a family affair. I know that you're in Florida right now. Your agents are outside. You host these retreats that helps with retention, I'm sure. But as you're out selling, and you're the name and you're the face of the brand, I hear your husband has a big role with the business too. So you can tell us a little bit more about how he helps you manage the team and what that looks like for you guys?
Yeah, he's been great. He doesn't work in the day-to-day business, but more on the back end as a business manager. He has a very extensive background in franchise consulting, built a lot of companies. So I really didn't need his help. I mean, obviously, when you run your own company, I think there's confusion in most real estate companies, like, oh, I run my own company, but they don't. They work for a company that does everything, and they don't understand. So having to learn that is a huge job. And I feel like now I can help other agents learn that too, from beginning to the end. But he's been great, and he's also very supportive at home with the kids too, which makes for a great partnership. I know we have mostly all women on our team, and I think he probably needs a man cave somewhere, around here. But we have 3 daughters, so he's very patient. But he's very helpful in helping me with just reporting and things that he's interested in on the back end. So it's nice to have that.
So 2023, Real Trends, you were the number 2 small team based on volume in the entire state of Ohio, and the number 1 small team in the city rankings for Cincinnati.
Yep.
Where do you want the company to go from there? I mean, literally the sky's the limit, but you've reached very high, I will say. So what are your goals, and do you want to grow even larger?
Yes, I'm very proud of our success. I mean, I want to get back to being number 1 in Ohio and Cincinnati. We at one point became a larger team. So I believe this year we're not being considered small, but that we will be next time, because we are back to the small team, which I think for me is the best thing. I like to be small, but I also want to win. I'm not going to lie. A little competitive. So we would like to do more than we did. We've got high, lofty goals. I'd like to do the same in Kentucky. We have a big presence there now, and my top agent is very big there as well. So that's the goal. And then also eventually down in Florida. But as you know, I'm a firm believer in it, really, you have to be a part of where you live, and to get that ball rolling in the community. So I'm very patient in that. But in Ohio, I am not, I guess, backing off of that number one again. So that is our goal, and we love it. It's fun. I'll tell you, in Ohio, a lot of companies will say that they are a small team or an individual. They have an army of people working for them. So we are really a small team. So we deserve that.
Your team is so amazing. You do all these great things. You retain, you attract like some of the best agents, and I love that it's like a female powerhouse right now. But I love that you do these retreats and you spend time and involved in the communities that you serve. So if you're willing to share, it sounds like you're doing a retreat for your agents right now in Florida. What does that look like? Is there like an agenda? Are you just having a good time? Are they working right now? And thank you, by the way, for stepping aside to do this podcast with us today while you're at the retreat.
Well, I appreciate that you are having me on this because I love your podcast, by the way, and I've listened to every single one of them, and I'm very impressed with everyone, and it's inspiring. Seriously, everyone is so inspiring. But going back to that question, I brought my team to the convention that we recently had in San Diego, and they all left there so inspired. And I truly believe that in order to grow your business, you have to really invest heavily in it. So I do spend a lot of money investing into the brand, and by that, bringing us together outside of the office so that we can really get to know each other. I don't think, unless you really take the time to get to know each and every single one of your employees intimately, that you can really understand where their goals are going to be. So I want to help them grow. And without knowing exactly who they are and what they want, like especially even just being out of town, is really difficult. So, I mean, you could have a million meetings, but it's not the same. We are having fun, but we are working here too. So that, for me at least, I mean, they're probably having more fun times. I have a house here, so it's a little bit different, but I love, like today, this was a great example. I have a passion for doing this, and I was so excited to be a part of this with you guys. And then tomorrow we're going to look at a couple properties. So we do have some things planned for work, and we're doing some breakout sessions here with the team and had a team meeting, but there's some fun too.
Thank you so much for being a fan. It's like a joint fangirl situation. One of the cool things I think about owning your own company, like truly owning it, is that you can learn the strengths and weaknesses of your team and delegate responsibilities maybe to your weaknesses. I would like to know, what you consider to be your powerhouse strengths and what you have been successful to delegate to others.
Yeah, thank you. It's changed over the last couple of years. Right now, I think it's that, and I have a new showing assistant who said this to me the other day. They said, you're very organized. Like everything is so calendar driven, and you never seem too stressed. Like there's no fire drills. During COVID, we had to run where like everybody's hair's on fire. We got to hurry. But now everything can be scheduled, so you can have balance in your business. So being able to coach my people that we can all have balance, we can live a great life, and you can still do real estate and not go crazy has been a really good thing for me to help the team this year with their growth. And then also that kind of plays hand in hand into the social media aspect, because that is like a full-time job with all the platforms and the places that we post. So having that schedule, going back to the calendar with the team, has been very helpful. And also me teaching my people that as well, like just the marketing team is young. And I think that's been great. And I think it helps, like our top agent, even though she's selling the most amount of units, she needs to sometimes sleep, so it's like, it's okay to like turn it off, and we don't want to burn out, and as being a former athlete, I know that burnout is real. The worst thing in the world is for you to never want to do something again. So you got to have balance.
I think you have a very unique perspective that us athletes have, which is balance and how we integrate things. And there is no tell me that I can't do it, because I will, and I'll show you that I can do it. And it's just, I've come to this realization that it is not good or bad. It just is. Yeah. Okay, great. This is new information I have to work with, and this is how I'm going to move on. Yeah. How, I know we're running up against our time, but in Women's History Month, and your team is all female. I mean, thank goodness for your husband to help support. I love, good shout out to the good men out there. But how do you instill a sense of drive and leadership, not just to your team, but to your kids too? Because I know that's important to you as well.
This actually came up recently over the weekend with my daughter, and she's the captain of her state swimming team. And it gets hard to always be motivated, but I think they see me working and also being able to be a mother and take care of our pets in our home and our people that work with us. And I think a lot of them seeing that eventually is kind of rubbing off to their leadership qualities as well. The same thing with the girls on our team. Some of them are single mothers or some of them have little kids. So I try to share my history and my story about being a mom, walking my baby around the neighborhood and selling houses. And they see that now. It's like there's no perfect way of doing it. Like you can still have little kids and still be great at real estate and go to the pool and get deals done because that's how it works. And I think that has been great for them. A couple of the girls on our trip to San Diego told me secretly that they really feel so much more inspired after being around me to, like that way, to see how I am, when I'm not in the office and to see how I really live, which is yelling at my kids sometime on the phone or trying to do something right before I have to walk into an appointment. So it's just real life.
You're such a good example of everything, like female leadership and a spectacular mother and just a leader. So I'm so excited that we had the opportunity to talk to you during Women's History Month. And I appreciate that very much.
Well, I'm very grateful to be here.
Thank you, Heather. And I know you guys will hit all your goals really quickly. I want to know, do you have plans to expand to Florida?
Yes, we do. So actually I'm licensed here now. And at this time, because I wanted to learn the business, I have my license with a partner outside. And so I'm really excited about that. And I am slowly kind of getting my feet wet. I definitely plan to expand here sooner than later. And I plan to live here at some point, half the year, possibly, but absolutely. And I've learned a lot already in just such a short amount of time. I'm going to be the #1 agent in this neighborhood. Just got to give me about a year.
I believe it. You heard it here first. I want a quick plug for the audience who doesn't already stalk you on social, like Katie and myself. Where can they find you and Team Herr?
So we have teamher.com and Private Real Estate Collection has their own website, Private RE. But I also have our Team Herr Instagram page, Team Herr Real Estate, Private Real Estate Collection is on Instagram. And I just started a new one in, it's called St. Armand's Key, which is very tiny, small. And my personal Instagram page is a big one at Heather Herr. So that's slowly growing. I'm going back to focusing on that a lot more too. So.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for leading by example. It means a lot to me as a mom with little kids, little girls too. So thank you very much for joining us on Own It. We greatly appreciate it and taking the time out of your very busy retreat schedule. So thank you.
It's been my pleasure. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on Own It. And just a shout out, if you want to hear more of Katie's episode, she was episode number 22. So you can learn more about Katie personally too. But we will celebrate Women's History Month all month and have you back here at another episode of Own It. Thank you so much for joining us.